Right, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And this is the bottom line. You're welcome to the show for the evening. My name is Kwesi Free, and of course, I am your guest. I am your host for the show tonight. On the bottom line, you get to have the best of business analysis. Tonight, we get into a bit of technology, and I'm sure you've heard about threats, and you know about Twitter as well. So for those of you who love Twitter, and we put you in a certain bracket. Of course, there are a lot of social media apps. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, and those who love videos, those who love entertainment, and so on and so forth. And just about a week ago, one of the very inventions that have come from the Meta Group, a bit of a background. The Meta Group owns Facebook. If you're on WhatsApp and you've been using WhatsApp for your daily interactions on your corporate platforms, on your individual platforms, on your old school platforms, if you install it or if you turn off your phone and you put it back on, you'd realize that there is a name that comes up before the WhatsApp ons or comes on. And that is the Meta Group. So they own Facebook and they own WhatsApp as well. And the new addition is what they call the threats. Some people have called it the killer of Twitter. Others are saying it is giving Elon Musk money for or a run for his money. And a lot of issues are coming up. People are seeing war between Twitter and the Meta Group, that's Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. Some are saying that threats will be taking the lead. And the basic premise behind all of this and why people think they should move away from Twitter to Threads is the fact that Elon Musk is putting in a lot of restrictions. Tonight, we get into the details of it. And the big news is that Threads has hit 100 million users. 100 million users. And you want to take note of it. So those of you who are interested in tech, tonight, this is your night. And those of you who are interested in technology and how to use technology to expand your businesses, whether it's a small and medium-scale enterprise, whether it's a big corporate entity, whether it's a startup or whatever it is, this is your show tonight. You want to stick and stay with us. When we come back, we'll be getting into the details of whether it's a trade war or however you want to call it, between Threads and Twitter. We'll look at the features, we'll look at the details, we'll look at what makes what and what makes the other. I'll give you some slides and I'll give you some background of details. And if you want to get onto Threads as well, or if you have experienced Threads as well, we'll put our phone number there. Kindly share with us, in the last 1 week, what's your experience with Threads? Would you want to choose it over Twitter, or you still stay with Twitter over Threads? For those of you who are business-minded. So our number will be scrolling on the screen pretty shortly. You want to put it up to us. Share your concerns. If you're a tech person, maybe we may allow you some 1 or 2 minutes to speak to us via phone, if it's feasible. So stick and stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, so I've said earlier on that tonight, if you're interested in technology, if you're interested in the use of technology in the expansion of your business, whether you're a startup, you're an SME, or you're a big corporate entity. If you are interested in the digitization and the digitalization agenda of the country, you want to stay with us tonight. You want to follow us tonight. We'll begin with a story of threats against threats. And I want them to put back my name and the Twitter address back on the screen. You'll see that my name is there, then my Twitter address is also there. It says @Kwesi Free. I haven't joined Threads yet. I'm sure that maybe after the show, so you'll see it there, Emmanuel Kwesi Free, and then @Kwesi Free is there with a capital E at the back. And if you follow me now, even though I'm not too active there, I still go there once in a while. I still monitor every news item that comes on through there. There is a discussion on the credibility of Twitter against the other social media apps. I can tell you that as a news person, there are a number of times I've spoken to people who said that, no, I haven't seen this news on Twitter. It may not be credible. We have seen it on other social media platforms anyway, but I haven't seen it on Twitter. It doesn't mean that there is no fake news on Twitter anyway. there is, but there is some kind of an age. It's seen as if it's only serious people that are on Twitter. We can say same of LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn as well, you have business people putting up their profiles, doing their marketing there, doing their networking, most importantly there on LinkedIn and so on and so forth. The news is that Twitter is facing off a very tough challenge from the new app, the new kid on the block called Threads. And we are saying that the big news is that in just over a week, it has hit 100 million users. 100 million users in less than a week. And people think that it is going to kill Twitter because Twitter now has so many regulations, so many restrictions, so many things that would restrict you, the user, since Elon Musk took over. There is a news of him going on to the court to sue. There is a news of him taking threats up and so on and so forth. Let me give you a bit of a background. And as a producer puts it, it says, Threads hot start. Facebook parent Meta officially launched this Twitter competitor. And I like the way it's put, Twitter competitor, Threads, last Wednesday. And after first confirming its plans for the app just 3 months ago. Now, Threads is already off to a strong start. It received 100 million sign-ups in less than a week. And I spoke to our entertainment desk, Kekeli and the entire team this evening, and they tell me that, of course, they are social media savvy. They have been online on Threads for the past few days, at least for 3 days, and they are actually enjoying it. We'll come back to that. But the app says, the story says, and the app shows including a large number of brands, celebrities, journalists, and many other prominent accounts. Early adopters have been rushing to try out the app and write their first post, and some questioning whether the app could end up being the Twitter killer. Could it be? What's your opinion? Tonight, if you're a tech-savvy person, if you're a computer person, if you're a digital person, if you are an online person and you have any concern, you may want to speak to us on this. Whether you think it will be the Twitter killer or you think that it will not be the Twitter killer. So we come to this graphics that we have here. It says how Threads compares with rival Twitter. And there are certain specifications that we are doing the comparison on. Of course, you have Elon Musk's Twitter. He bought it for 44, was it million or billion dollars? Some few months back, and he's been making most out of it. And then you have Mark Zuckerberg's Threads also there, and that's who is the owner of each of these apps. So the post length, how much or how many words you can post in a single tweet on Twitter is 280 characters. So if you have an information to give and you think that the details are such that you want to write lengthy, you may have to write either 2 posts or go into the reply post of Twitter to be able to continue. Now, Threads is giving you 500 characters. It means you'll be able to do all that in Threads. Are there links? Can you link it to, for example, Facebook? Can you post news item on your blog and link it on Twitter so that people can just get on the link and be able to go straight to the story? Yes, it is there. Photos, you pick up photos and post photos. Yes, Twitter can give you 4. I don't know about Threads yet, but of course, they also have the opportunity. Videos, what length of video can you post? Twitter is 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Threads is giving you more, 5 minutes. Verification, you all know those who are verified on Twitter, and it takes a lot to get verified on Twitter. Your credibility, how many people are following you, what are the things you're posting there, what are your security guards, and so on and so forth. All of these come up, and it's no on Twitter for Instagram. And for verification, yes, via Instagram. Delete, yes, you can delete items both on both apps. Edit, no, with asterisks. It depends on what exactly you are editing. That's on Twitter. And of course, no. That's a plain no on Threads. Direct messaging, yes, you can DM somebody directly on Twitter. Trends say no. Hashtags no. And then yes for Elon Musk. So, I mean, well, we'll get the scientists here. This is a learning curve for us. And for those of us who are not too much of a technology inclined, we are anyway, but not at that level. It will be a learning curve for us tonight. What this says, and especially in the Ghanaian business space, how do we take advantage of these things to expand our businesses, technology in general, the digitalization agenda in general? After it's in here, how do we take advantage of all of these? Let me play for you what people think. And when I come back, I have Dr. Anson here in the studio. We'll get into the discussion for the night. Stay with us.
It's what they told me. They were like, the app is more like an Instagram thing. It has lots of Instagram features on it, so I'm yet to use it. It's an app that people are using, so I think it's a good app because millions of people are downloading it.
Okay, from Twitter. Actually, I'm very big with social media, so I heard of threads from Twitter, and because of Mark Zuckerberg, I've actually been anticipating about this particular app, and since it came out, it's been very good. Elon has been messing with us on Twitter, so this actually an escape for us. Yes.
I actually heard of it this morning. A friend of mine told me about it this morning, so I've not really seen it, but I heard it's very exciting to be on it. It's actually positive as compared to Twitter. So yeah, I can't wait to use it.
With the Threads app, for instance, I saw a friend use it today, and the outlook of it looks like Twitter and that of Instagram, like the features in it. So yeah, that's how it looks like.
According to what they told me, they were like.
So that's a bit of what people think about threats and how competitive it is to Twitter. I have in the studio here Dr. Edward Danso Anson, who is a senior lecturer, Department of Computer Science, University of Ghana. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, and thank you very much too.
I'm happy to have you here. The people of the Department of Computer Science, it's either pure mathematics, pure computer, pure economics, pure something technical. And the department is always, I don't want to say revered, yes, revered, but feared. You get that sense from other departments and other students in other departments.
Yeah, that's
and the perception that you feel the students, you take them through rigorous education and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the perception that people have.
Is it the case?
But it's not the case.
Because
mostly people are usually fearsome of mathematics. So because we also do more of computations, mathematics, and especially with programming. Exactly. That is where
so you should necessarily do mathematics before you can do computer science?
Yes, but with information technology, you still need some basic or level background in mathematics, but not as high as the computer science.
I'll come back to you pretty shortly. I'll begin the discussion with you. But I have Charles Wundengba, business and tech blogger, wundef.com, live on Zoom also with us. And he has a specialty in all of these apps. And of course, as a blogger, he understands the space very well. I'm sure he's had a good feel of threats already. And I want to ask him, let me welcome you first. Charles, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Charles, if you can hear me, kindly unmute your mic. Right, I can hear you now.
Yes, good evening.
I hope you're doing very well.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for having me this evening.
We are glad to have you as well. We've gone through your page, and I know you're, of course, a veteran blogger. And let me ask you, have you had a good feel of the threats yet, and how does it feel?
Yes, thank you very much. I first even blogged about it on Tuesday, last week Tuesday. I blogged about it that Meta is coming out with a text-based app on Thursday. So on Thursday morning, I woke up and I had to check and then download it. And you see, it was just like magic. I think I was there. I was around the 9 millionth person. Imagine I downloaded the app just
On Thursday
5 or
morning.
6 hours after it was launched. Yes, on Thursday morning. And already I was around 9 million among the people who had already downloaded. So the expectation was so high, and you know, it felt good that you didn't have to create a whole new account. You just have to click on your Instagram account and then it logged you in. We believe that probably that will be able to prevent or stop some of the scammers who always try to create multiple accounts when they join a particular social media platform. In this case, if you don't have an Instagram account, you will not be able to also have a Trust account. And if you want to create multiple accounts, that means you have to have various different phones, logging into those phones with different Instagram accounts so that you can log into the Trust app with those accounts that you already created. So it was very it was an interesting experience. But you see, the moment I started using Threads, I had to run back to Twitter and see what was happening over there because, you know, there have been a lot of battle between Twitter users and the owner, Elon Musk himself, for some time now.
Yeah.
And you remember recently, I think that was just last week, Elon Musk came out and said, now they are going to limit even the number of posts you can even see in a day. And they say if you are a new unverified account, you can only see around 300 posts. And then unverified account, that is 600 posts. And then if you are verified, that will be around 6,000 posts. And you see, people visit these social media platforms when they are bored and they don't want to be scrolling down their timeline, and then they get to the bottom and say, okay, thank you very much for visiting Twitter today. Come back tomorrow for more feeds. You know, nobody wants to have that experience. Yes. So if you start putting limits on what people can do on these social media platforms, they begin to also find alternatives. And you see, when we started looking for alternatives, there was Jack Dorsey who said, okay, I'm going to give you a very good alternative. And we call it Blue Sky. But you see, before you can join this Blue Sky, somebody have to invite you. And imagine I want to join a social media platform and somebody have to invite me before I can join that social media platform. And let me give you my personal experience. I applied to join Blue Sky about a month ago. Do you know that just 3 days ago, when Meta had started Threads and a lot of people were going there was that feeling. That was when they sent me an email that I can now create an account. They sent me an invite to create an account on Blue Sky. You see, they came in so late and they tried to make the whole thing feel like, you know, you need a passport before you can visit a social media platform. But, you know, Facebook or Meta, they took that whole barrier away. They looked at Twitter, what Twitter was not doing well, what the people on Twitter were saying, and they said, okay, let's do it better. Let's do it this way. Now, Twitter is giving you limitation of 280 characters. We are going to give you 500. That is about 220 more than what Twitter is giving you. Aside that, if you are verified on Instagram, you don't need to apply for verification again. We will just bring your verification straight up to Threads. Apart from that, we are going to ask all your friends, the people you already, people who are already following you on Instagram, to also follow you on Threads. So the moment you join Threads, you become an influencer. You become a celebrity because you were a celebrity on Instagram. You had about 100,000 followers. You moved to Threads and you have about 50,000 to 80,000 followers within a very short time. And you feel like, wow, I'm welcome here. I'm a big man here. Why don't I stay here? But you don't have that same feeling
on
when
Twitter.
It comes to Twitter. Though we may get there, yes, but you see, Twitter is also a platform you cannot easily use Threads to just overcome within a week because you think that maybe it is coming from Meta. Twitter also has its positives, and I think it will take a very long time and very hard work. Though for the subscribers, Meta will be able to overcome Twitter. Definitely Threads will overcome Twitter when it comes to subscribers. But that feeling, that information sharing, that trending issues thing, it may be missing in Threads, and it will take a very long time for Threads to catch up with that.
But is that feasible? Before I come back to the studio to you, Doc, is that easily feasible? Looking at the kind of people, because when I was introducing the program, I specifically put in that analysis of the kind of people, and I'm sure I don't have any empirical data to that. We'll get to you on that, Doc. But there is enough perception to think that maybe the people that are on Twitter are more serious. For example, with news, the kind of people that get on Twitter are people who are business-minded, so to speak, than the people on, for example, Instagram. They are following photos, they are following pictures, they are following videos, they are following entertainment, people showing off sometimes their bodies and nakedness and so on and so forth.
Yes, you see, one thing is, as I said earlier on, it's possible that when talking about subscribers, just today, Threads announced, Mark Zuckerberg himself announced that they will be able to reach 100 million subscribers or accounts within just 5 days. Yes, for subscribers, for follower base, that number will increase as time goes on. And Mark Zuckerberg said they are targeting 1 billion users. It is possible. It is highly possible. But as I said, that feel of being able to belong to a community of, people who know what they are writing about, who know what they are tweeting about, that feeling will never go anytime soon. When you go on Twitter, for example, if I want to know what is happening in Ghana, what is trending, the trending issues in Ghana, I don't go on Google and then type what is trending in Ghana. I just go on Twitter. I go to the trending page and I see all the issues which are trending at the moment. And you have all the presidents of the world, most of the presidents of the world being on Twitter. And you cannot just import those followers directly to Threads because you don't own Twitter. The people on Instagram are people who love to watch videos, who love to watch images. They are businesses who want to sell products. So most of them are on Instagram. And these are the people you are sending over to Threads. But you cannot automatically get those people, as you said, business-minded people, the head of states. There are even accounts on Twitter for communication for heads of states. Countries have their communication ministries having Twitter
run on
verified Twitter accounts where they send information to people. And that kind of thing is lacking on Instagram. And it is Instagram that you are using to log in into Threads. So whatever we had on Instagram, the kind of people we had on Instagram is the same or similar caliber of people you are going to have on Threads. Unlike Twitter, where the people say, okay, we want to send off information. Though it's true, Twitter, they have about active 350 million. That was as of 2021 ending. 350 million active users. Though that is the number, but we prefer there. You have a lot of policymakers creating accounts on Twitter, run away from Facebook. And I can tell you that there are some Ghanaian policymakers that I used to follow on Facebook, and they have all left Facebook, and they are now concentrating their ideas on Twitter because they think that when an issue comes up on Twitter, the argument is so, interactive. There are people who come in with a whole lot of...
For want of better words, somebody said the argument is so intellectual. Let me come to Doc.
Thank you for that.
I'll come to you on that. And when I come back, I'll ask the question of whether it's just a matter of competition or a matter of for Zuckerberg. I mean, there is Facebook. Why not concentrate on Facebook? Is it because people are leaving Facebook, or you just want to compete with Zuckerberg? But let me come to you. Whether you've had a feel of Threads yet?
Yes, I did download the app, and I wanted to read more about it because coming from the cybersecurity perspective, we don't just jump onto applications when they come out. Because even though it came out not too long ago, I've been able to carry out some few studies on it that I've also been able to identify some few things that I would wish to rather caution people instead of just jumping on it. Yes. instead of simply just jumping on it, rather be cautious and then know how the application actually works first before they can actually start using it.
So, do you mind telling us, because immediately you sat down, the things I had written down, I turned them around. And the first thing that came to my mind is safety, security, access, hacking and all of those things. And of course, with you as a computer scientist and a researcher as well, stating that people should be cautious in jumping on it. Are there any things you can share with us?
Yes, the major challenge or problem that I've actually found with Thread has to do with the non-availability of a button to delete the account. Assuming you start signing up to Thread, and then it happens that you don't want to continue anymore. What Meta is currently telling us is that
you can't delete the account.
What you have to do is then to delete your Instagram account before you can actually undo that of Thread, which I find to be a little bit not too safe. That probably I simply want to maintain my Instagram account, but I don't want to continue with Thread. So these are the reason why, for some of us from the cybersecurity perspective, we are actually a little bit cautious and still doing more research on some of the other things that one can have. And then I also realized that on the Thread, there is no DM. You can't send a direct message. Yes.
So how do you communicate with people privately?
So it means that it is still just going to follow the same trend of that of the Instagram. And it is going to be like that, essentially because on the Instagram, the statistics shows that people between the ages of 16 and 24 are more dominant on Instagram as compared with
Why is this so? Before I come to my next question, why is that so? If you compare Instagram against, for example, Twitter, why is that so? Why is young people, in the bracket of the youth, by the UN's description of who a young person is, 15 to 24, and they are more there. Why is it so?
Yes. Similarly, there are more adults on Twitter than on Instagram. And the reason is that, youth are more into images, pictures, videos, and things.
We don't like reading.
That's animations.
Exactly. We don't like reading.
Exactly.
And, so I read a research, I think from University of Ghana, which said that the average Ghanaian reads the first two paragraphs. The average Ghanaian, that's even the one who wants to read more, reads, even if it's a news item, the first two paragraphs, and the rest clear off.
Of course. So images, animations, videos tend to rather attract the youth more than that of text. So that's how come Twitter has a lot more of followers when we compare that with the adult population. Yes.
And the safety again, have you assessed any apart from the deletion, have you assessed any form of security features which people that are jumping on should be either cautious of or should be careful of?
Yes. What I also realized was that, as we from the security perspective always say, that there is no secured system. Every system is inevitable to failure. And therefore, it means that all the vulnerabilities that were established on Instagram is automatically being transferred to Thread, because there is not. It is more or less like a conjoined application that has just been added onto the Instagram. So it means that if your user account or password is vulnerable or has been exposed, it means that automatically that same vulnerability is also going to be carried on to Thread.
Would you then say that the 100 million, that have jumped on in less than a week, is a premature excitement or a premature enthusiasm or people's inquisitiveness that is leading them to, and I would lead that question to the next one as to whether it can actually overtake Twitter in its essence, in its usage by corporate entities for their branding, for their credibility, for their messaging. Charles was telling us about the use by very professional setups like the US government, like the UK government, using Twitter as the official communication channels and so on and so forth. So let's start from the first question and we'll come back to whether it's actually able to overtake Twitter.
Yes, to talk about the rate at which it's running fast, actually, it has beaten all records so far. That for an app that within 24 hours is able to make beyond 30 million subscribers, and then within 5 days, 100 million subscribers, it has actually surpassed every record so far. So, to me, if you are to ask, looking at how people are inquisitive and the kind of conversation that is also going on, the letter written from Twitter to Meta,
Yes.
and then the response that is also coming up and all that, that is rather promoting people
Is it a
to
marketing
rather.
strategy? Is it?
Yes, I think that Elon Musk seems to be talking too much because all these commentaries and he's already dramatic because he taking over Twitter, laying off staff, going back to recall, and then the verification commercial.
Does he not use that to make more money? I mean, anytime he's in the media space, if you look at Tesla, for example, the way he went around Tesla, if you look at you're a computer scientist.
SpaceX.
Of course.
Exactly.
And then even the online money which came.
The Bitcoin. And all that. Yes.
How he gets in and gets off at any minute and make sure he makes his money and goes off. That's a style. Is Zuckerberg also riding in now?
Yeah, that's the strategy in certain industries. But when it comes to the tech world, it's a completely different thing altogether. That once you make a comment about something, that's why we call it as viral, and it goes viral. Everyone wants to hook on and then know what is actually happening, and in order to ensure that they are also not being left behind and all of that. And that's also one other reason why, for now, everybody seems to be trying to test their hands on their Thread app. But the caution that I still want to give is that remember that once you sign up to that, there is no way you can actually take yourself out of the app until you delete your Instagram account.
I'll go to Charles and come back. And when I come back to you, I'll now come back to what we are doing as a continent, Africa, as West Africa, and then, of course, as a country, in the space of apps. We've seen quite a number of apps that are coming up, and very critical areas that we need these apps. I am thinking, why do we not have a Ghana Water Company Limited app by now as a country? ECG has tried something, but it's not universal for everybody in the country. And we are talking about mobilization of revenue. We are talking about power losses. We are talking about the politics of all of these in the country every minute, every day, every time. And the fact that PURC would come to us, increase our fares or our monies that we are paying every day, every time, and cite the reasons of power losses that we are not able to mobilize. Meanwhile, if you put on an app, you'll solve that problem in 1 second. You are there. You're doing things, teaching people. Why don't we have these things?
Yeah, I think with the issue of the Ghana Water, I think Ghana Water has attempted to come up with something like that. And then we also, in the research and in academia, we're also doing a lot. For instance, recently, the Department of Computer Science, University of Ghana, won an award from Google that which we call as the speech data. If you go to the Google search engine, if you are searching for any of our local language using audio, you wouldn't find the microphone appearing there. So we are currently working on a number of languages in Ghana. We've collected data. We are doing that of Akan. We are doing that of Dagbani. We are doing that of Ikposo, Ewe, and several others.
I'm trying it now.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that we in the academic, and then that of the,
the private sector.
Private sector seems to be doing a lot.
Do they collaborate with you? Do they give you funding? What you are talking about, and of course, I've been not in your department, but I've been following research with Professor Barboatin, Professor Texan in the economics department, and all of those people. But you don't get the support. You don't get the monies. You don't get what you need to develop the apps. Ghana Water should be able to come to you and say, this is what we want to do. Do a research and develop an app for us.
Yes, what you are saying is true. Normally, we have been making every effort to actually get there. For instance, the toll booth at the Tema port was actually designed by the Department of Computer Science. But when it comes to other institutions related to us, as a university, it is rather taken elsewhere. You know, these are some of the challenges that we usually face, where people who are close to us do not usually trust us in, serving us with such opportunities to be able to make, ourselves known. For instance, the application that has to do with the computer school selection, I'm the cybersecurity consultant on it. Wow. This application, since its implementation, when we actually won the contract about three years ago, have been running smoothly without any glitch.
But that's the whole point I'm trying to make. It works smoothly.
Sure.
Locally made. I mean, local content participation, and we have the expertise there. And it's been running. People are going through schools, through the system. Why can't other institutions in the country? Why do we sit down and with all the wealth of knowledge you have, you are teaching people, imparting knowledge anyway, but we don't see the practical bit of it?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's a bit more complex, whenever, let's say, the university is even advertising for such thing, they would say conflict of interest. You cannot also, buy into it until you set up a business and then compete. So these are some of the challenges that we also face.
It shouldn't be. These are things we should be able to talk about. But let me come back to, I'm sure we'll get you again back in the studio, and you will do us the honors of talking about these. But again, from your perspective, how these corporate entities, not just using the apps, but for their marketing as well, for their branding as well. We see the vice president going all over the country talking about digitalization, how we need to use the apps, how we need to use technology to explore our brands. We are talking about threats now. We know that even as much as we are talking about the kind of people and the corporate entities that are on Twitter, a lot more brands from startups, SMEs, large corporate entities will use it as an avenue of increasing their bits or their brands or their lot on social media. How is this going to work?
Yes. The whole fight, quotes and unquotes, that we even seem to be listening and then enjoying, so to speak, all has to do with the dominance, who actually takes care of the dominance. Because currently, as it stands now, Twitter in 2022 enjoyed about $5.1 billion, while that of Instagram had over $51 billion market share. So this whole thing has to do with who is able
What are the figures again?
Yeah, $5 billion for Twitter, and then $51
out
billion.
Of the fight?
Yes, no, that is for 2022, the market share in terms of ad revenue. So, people branding, depends on the kind of product or service that you're actually selling out. So based on where you think you can get more of your clients, that is where you also point to. So that's the reason why people tend to look more at that of Instagram, because of the entertainment, the infotainment, and the branding,
the revenue mobilization.
Exactly. While the people at the various government sectors, and a high corporate, bodies rather tend to look at Twitter as a platform to be able to disseminate their information.
But
to their
how is this fight? I mean, so to speak, some people are calling it the Twitter killer. Obviously, Twitter will be defending itself.
Of course.
For companies, assuming, there are even companies in Ghana who are on Twitter, advertising on Twitter and doing everything possible to catch viewers on Twitter. And then there are people also on Instagram doing the same. And of course, now threats doing the same. How are they able to also, of course, take advantage of this, of the war?
I think the major problem that Twitter seems to be facing is as a result of the fact that Elon Musk was coming out with too many rules. This whole commercial on the verification, button and all of that.
He felt too powerful.
Exactly. So this will actually make him calm down, so to speak. And then, for people to be able to get the verification button or subscription, the process that now they have to go through and all of that, which now, with the coming up of Thread, that is even making it much more easier to carry your, fan base directly onto Thread and all of that. I think that because of what Elon Musk was actually doing at the initial stage, so a lot more of people were looking for and praying for a high, competitor that can be able to stand him boot for boot. So I think that is the more reason why a lot more of people are talking about Thread, even though they might not have really experienced how it is and the various drawbacks of using Thread.
Unfortunately, my time is up, but I understand Charles is back online. Charles, we've been looking for you. We lost you online, but we are glad to have had you back. Let me come back to that question of why threats by the Meta Group and not maybe expand Facebook or improve Facebook for users. And then we'll come to the marketing bit, how our corporate entities in Ghana, SME, startups, and the large corporate entities can take advantage of this war or the branding aspect for them. How do they use the opportunity to increase their market share?
All right, thank you very much. When Doc was speaking, he did mention about the security aspect of threats. And I wanted to add this. You see, Thread has a whole lot of security issues. Do you know that as we are speaking currently, or as we are having this show, Thread is not available in European Union countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are in Europe and you are, and you are among the European Union, Thread is not available over there because of privacy issues. Because Thread is saying that they can have access to your health and fitness data, your financial info. That is very debatable. You are telling me that my financial information, you can pick it up and you can use it, the health and fitness usage data, and they have even included something called sensitive data. And they didn't even explain, they didn't even expand. So if, let's say tomorrow you say, okay, Threads is using some data that I think is very sensitive to me and I'm suing them, you go to court and they tell them, okay, we told you that you'll be picking sensitive data, but we did not tell you that this data or that data that we were going to pick. So for security-wise, I think Threads poses more risk than Twitter, because Twitter, I think the security, the privacy issue, they have about 10 data that they pick, but Threads have about 14 that they are picking. And that is really a big concern for us at this moment. But you see, Meta, they cannot concentrate on only Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp because they want to give users, they want to reach out to every user, no matter the kind of taste that you have. There are people who are not on Facebook. There are people who are not on Instagram. They feel so much comfortable on Twitter. Now, how do you give these people an alternative? How do you give them a chance to also migrate or to move over to Thread or to a certain platform which is similar to?
But if I'm not happy on Instagram, if I'm not happy on Instagram and Thread is saying that I should go through Instagram to have an account, then that's a problem.
No, it is not a problem, because now you may think, okay, I don't want to be on Instagram. I'm just using an Instagram. It's like I'm going to create a Facebook account, and they are saying that you need to have an email address.
Email, all right.
So I need to just go on Google, create an email address, use the email address to come and create an account on Facebook. So the same thing. If you are telling me that, okay, before I can be on Threads, I need to be on Instagram. All that I need to do is just go on Instagram, create an account, and use that to log in into Threads. It's simple as that. So it is not something that, okay, I'm going to stay on Instagram, so why should I create an account? No, you are just using that as a platform,
right,
or as a way to enter into Threads. Yes, but you see, the issue still remains that the kind of people who are on Instagram, the people who love pictures, the people who love videos, they are the same kind of people who are going to migrate into Threads. And that is the truth. If you have few following on, let's say, Twitter, you don't have a lot of following on Instagram, and you are on Threads, then definitely your following will be lower, because the following that you have on Instagram
is the same you are going to have on
the people
on
you are going to. Yes, because
Right.
when you log in, they will tell you, you'll be able to tell other friends
Right.
who are on the platform that you are
Right.
here so that they
Right.
can follow you. So
Right.
that is it. Meta is trying to create a platform which covers everywhere. But there's an issue with Meta. If
Okay.
I don't know if you remember.
Just 30
they
seconds.
said
My time
Meta
is up.
should
So
try
just
to
30
separate-
seconds.
Yes. Yes. Meta should try to separate the different types of their businesses and sell it to other companies. I don't know if you ever heard of that. They
Yes,
said Meta is becoming too powerful.
I understand.
So you are owning Instagram, you are owning Facebook, you are owning
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Sell some to other people so that the environment could be competitive.
All right. So thank you very much, Doc. I don't know what you want to say to that. I mean that would come on the point of regulation and so on and so forth. 30 seconds and I'm done.
Yes, I think that with the issue of the privacy, as it was being said, EU has not currently allowed it to come in. I believe that everybody shouldn't just be jumping on new applications because they are new, but we should rather read more about it, know the do's and then the don'ts, the advantages and the disadvantages before we actually move on to it.
All right. So Dr. Edward Danso and Son is a senior lecturer, Department of Computer Science, University of Ghana. Charles Wundengba is a business and tech blogger. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Charles, thank you very much. My name is Kwesi Afriye, and of course, I am your host for The Bottom Line.